all. Welcome to our newest series discussing topical transportation investment with ARTBA's Transportation Investment Advocacy Center. Today, I am joining Carolyn Kramer-Simons, ARTBA Senior Director of State Funding Policy, and we will discuss 2023 ballot measures and what to expect in 2024. Thank you for joining us, Carolyn.
Yeah, thanks for organizing, Mary Beth.
Carolyn, what were the legislative highlights and ballot turnouts of 2023?
2023 was a very big year for transportation funding. In state legislatures, we saw $23 billion in one-time recurring revenue approved, which is a very big year. Many significant measures came out of last year. New electric vehicle registration fees in Montana, New Hampshire, and Texas, increased electric vehicle registration fees in North Carolina and Wisconsin. We saw a new road usage charge program come out of Hawaii, which is something we are keeping a very close eye on. We saw also some big measures coming out of Texas, Maine. We saw additional revenue in Indiana and Wisconsin. So a very big year for state legislation. A smaller year for ballots in 2023, which we expected during an off-election year, but we still saw $7 billion in new and renewed revenue approved by voters in 2023. That includes some very significant measures. We saw St. Paul, Minnesota voters approve a new 20-year sales tax that's going to improve their streets and bridges. We saw Texas voters approved a combined $4.2 billion, which is a significant amount of revenue. And we saw 14 counties in Georgia that asked voters to approve new or renewed sales tax measures, and 12 of those counties approved those measures. So a big year for transportation funding overall in 2023.
Wow, it is clear that voters are excited to invest in their own communities. Looking to 2024, how do you anticipate the election year will expect? What shows up on 2024 legislation and ballot measures?
So 2024 is going to be a very different year. For state legislation, we're not expecting the same numbers that we saw last year, which is the normal ebb and flow of election years. For an even number year and for a big election year, there are several states that are not holding a session, several states that are holding very short budgetary sessions. And most of these states are looking at re-election campaigns starting now in January, preparing for November. So we expect less big measures, less big taxes and fee increases from state legislatures this year, with the exception being that there are several states that are currently feeling the pinch of needing new recurring transportation revenue. So we have about a dozen states that we're tracking that have vocalized that they need new recurring revenue, and whether that pressure moves them forward sooner rather than later remains to be seen. Now, ballot-wise, we do think we're going to see a very big year. During these big election years, a lot of these bigger metro areas try to get their measures on the ballot with the belief that the more voters that get eyes on the measure, the better chance it has of passing. So we are already tracking some very big metro area measures in Texas, California. We know there's going to be some in South Carolina, perhaps some in Georgia. So we are preparing for a pretty big year at the ballot come November.
Absolutely. And with that, what trends are you expecting to see this year?
So we have already tracked a significant amount of measures being introduced in the state legislature so far this year, so mid-January. Of those measures, half are related to electric vehicle fees. So when I say electric vehicle fees, it's registration fees and public charging station fees primarily. And that's a trend that we do expect to continue. There are still 15 states that do not have an electric vehicle registration fee. There's also increasing interest in these fees, either per kilowatt hour or a % sales tax at public charging stations. So we do expect to see more of that legislation move forward this year and further exploration of ways to capture new recurring revenue and to explore other recurring revenue options.
Carolyn, thank you so much for your time today and insight looking at the year ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary Beth.